All right, welcome to Iyun Hamishna Iyun Ben Sion for Mishna Zion Perek Dalid of Maseches Kilayim. The Mishnah says, "Anotea Shura Achad Psor Shalo Shura Achad Psor Shachavero." If you plant one row, we learned previously that in order to make a vineyard, you need two rows. Two rows, presumably of at least three in each row, according to Beis Hillel. Technically, if you have five vines and one of them is a tail of the other two rows of two, it would be considered like six vines. But let's say you have one of those rows in your property, and one is in your friend's field. Now, who owns this one in your friend's field, right? So the seeming explanation, um, which is what the Tosas Yom Tov says, when the Zraim belong to you and these vines belong to you, your friend allowed you to plant a second row of your karim in his field, and it was next to each other. So the Mishnah discusses if there's 8 amos between them or 16 amos between them, then it wouldn't connect the two. And if there's less than that, it would connect the two, and it would have the din of a karim, a vineyard, which you have to be marking dalet amos in order you want to plant something else. Ravadia Bartanura, and the way the Tosas Yom Tov quotes it seems the Rash of Shamshon, I think, I don't know what it stands for. The Rash is the parish against the Rambam. If you look in some of the ways they present the Mishnayos and the Gemara, if you look in the Mishnayos that they have in the back of the Gemaras, they have the Rash and the Rambam. Rash, I forgot what it stands for. He was one of the Rishonim. He has a famous parish in the Mishnayos. He explains that, which is exactly what Rabbi Bartanur says. He says even if one belonged to you and one belonged to your friend, it would make it a karam. Now, Roger Bartanur is seemingly bothered by that because if you look in his parish over here in this Mishnah, he says Afilu Rabbi Shimon the Amar Lakaman, the beginning of Mishnah Zion. Let's say you take your vines, you have a vineyard, and you lean it over onto the tvua, onto the wheat field of your friend. Lo kidesh, it doesn't make his wheat kadosh. You can't answer your friend's produce, even though technically it should be kilayim because it's touching each other. You can't answer your friend's property. Hacha moda, or showing moda. This Mishnah seems to say according to everybody. The mistarf and the asar azram came in the ikashalov shalchavero. Here, it would aser is raw. I mean, it would make it a karam, and therefore, whatever if it's drawing other plants you'd plant, wheat plant you'd plant in the middle of this karam, it would makadesh it, even though you have shalov shalchavero. How could you combine shalov shalchavero over here? What's the distinction over here? And it seems to be Machlokas and Tosas Yom Tov and the Rash and Rav Tanura. What are they arguing about? Would we say Adam Osh Davar Shein Shalo over here or not? What is it different than the case of Mesachik Tvos Gvano Al Gabi Tvos Shachavero when you lie either the branches of your vine on someone else's tvua? It doesn't namakadosh it. The idea being, I would say over here, is that when the branches touch each other, that's not Kilayim Midoraisa. It doesn't understand Kilayim Midoraisa because we learned that Isra of Kilayim really is learned, like the Gemara says in Brachos. Yoshi says, "Mapolis Yad Chita Sora V'Gaf and Brotza Yad and Polis Yad." You planted in a small area, even together at the same time. It's the Yanika, it's the growth from the root. The root is what's usher by Kilayim. Having a root, when they root together, or Yanika, when they nourish from each other, the roots nourish from each other, then it's an Isra Daraisa. When the plants touch each other on top, that's only Isra Rabbanan, to the point we have Rabbi Yehuda says, in our Mishnah Zion, he says that if they touch on top, even though the fence is 10 tefachim high, normally it wouldn't be considered one vineyard, but it is considered a vineyard if they touch it. That's probably according to Yehuda and Isra Rabbanan, because again, it's not at the roots. Only at the roots Daraisa. On top is not Daraisa. So when we say Mesachik Kfano Rabin Tvas Shachavero Lo Kidesh, that's talking about this the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan didn't want to institute a Chumrah to Makadesh the Kilayim when you go ahead and take advantage of your friend. Your friend didn't want you to do this. But if you go plant in your field and your friend plants in his field next to each other, it would establish a karam. To ask your friend to plant next to you, if you mark your friend with mark Dalet Amos, it would answer. That's Del Raisa. They're running on the Koach to be Oker Dimin Torah. Usually they weren't Oker Dimin Torah. It is Kilayim because with Del Raisa it's Kilayim because it's the same Yanika. It's in the ground next to each other. That's Ben Sierra today. I hope you enjoyed. See you tomorrow. Bye.